Now, I'm going to give them all just a chance to give us their names. Oh, I was told that they were doing names first and then movie. Is that okay? So if you'll introduce yourself and where you're from, and then we'll go directly to our movie so that we can see everyone else that was involved. Maddie?
Yeah, I'm Matty, 17, from Cork, and nice to meet you all, guys.
I'm David, I am 12 and I'm from Mayo.
Hello, I'm Esther and I'm 10 and I am also from Cork.
I'm Alwyn, I'm 13 and I'm from Wicklow.
I'm Laura, I'm 16 and I'm from Dublin.
I'm Ailey and I'm 8 and I live in Nath.
Lovely. Thank you all for being here. No more than our own. Cork people always seem to have an overrepresentation. I don't know how you do it. Now we've got a video to show us some of the work that was going on and the other faces that were involved with the Children and Young People's Assembly.
In September 2022, 35 children and young people, aged 7 to 17 from across Ireland, were randomly selected to be members of Ireland's first Children and Young People's Assembly on Biodiversity Loss. We are some of the children and young people who were chosen, and we're excited to tell you about what happened next. We spent 2 weekends together, one in beautiful County Wicklow and our second weekend in Killarney National Park in County Kerry. We spent our first weekend learning about biodiversity and the causes of biodiversity loss. We had a lot of fun playing games, getting creative, and spending time outside, exploring a local nature reserve, which we really loved. We spent our second weekend working together to come up with our vision for the future and our calls to action, which we are excited to share with you.
Our Assembly's vision is an Ireland where we are connected to and care for the rights of nature and each other, so that biodiversity is restored and protected, and we live and grow up in healthy, clean and fair environments.
We also created 6 key messages that we want everyone to know.
We must treat the earth like a member of the family or a close friend.
Future generations must live in a world where there isn't a biodiversity crisis and where children don't have to take action because of the inaction of past generations.
Every decision must take biodiversity into account.
Children and young people must be included in decisions being made about biodiversity.
Biodiversity protection must be a shared responsibility and a global collaborative effort.
We must consume resources in a sustainable, moderate way that neither diminishes the environment, biodiversity, or our rights, well-being, and livelihoods.
We also created 58 calls to action, which fall under 7 key themes.
To provide education for children, young people, and adults that helps them to understand biodiversity loss, the consequences of our actions, and the things that we can do to address this issue.
To put biodiversity and the rights of nature at the heart of decisions that we make.
To create energy and transport systems which limit our impact on the environment and biodiversity.
To limit the impact of things we buy and use on the environment and biodiversity, and support sustainable ways of living.
To restore and rewild environments which support our biodiversity, including urban and rural places, and develop national parks.
To protect our habitats and native species from the impact of invasive species and land use change.
To address biodiversity loss caused by over-exploitation. To make sure places where we grow and gather our food are places where biodiversity can thrive, and the people who work in these places are helped to tackle biodiversity loss.
Minister Malcolm Noonan joined us at the end of our second weekend to receive our calls to action. He promised that our recommendations will inform Ireland's policies on biodiversity loss.
We're here today. I'm here today to meet with the children and young people who are involved in the Assembly. It was something that at the outset, when the Citizens' Assembly was being developed for biodiversity, I felt it vitally important that young people had a voice, and not just a voice, but a meaningful voice. The UN Charter for the Rights of Children states that we must include the voices of children and young people. That's a fundamental right. But secondly, it must be done in a way that is meaningful. It can't be tokenistic. We can't be ticking boxes and say we have consulted with young people. They need to have their voices included, and the outputs of any work that we do on national policy or local policy must reflect those voices. And I think that's what's being done here today and over the last number of weeks with the Children and Young People's Assembly. And by doing that, we take on board those testimonials and capture exactly the way young people are feeling.
Our final day also gave us all a chance to reflect on and celebrate our time together as an assembly and share our hopes for the future.
The assembly was about biodiversity loss and I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun and I made tons of new friends and it was just it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's just so nice. You'll never meet a nicer group of people, honestly. Over 4 days, we're already planning on hanging out outside the assembly itself, meeting up, people from all around the island, and we just, we just meshed so well.
The event was really just like the best opportunity for young people to gather together and express their views and opinions on biodiversity loss and climate change. And I'm really hoping that Minister Malcolm Noonan will go off with this information and really propose it to the rest of the government, and hopefully we can see some changes in the near future. I really liked coming up with the calls of action. I thought that it felt really like we were doing something and it felt really useful. But I also loved obviously the bits in between, met loads of nice people, made some good friends, and it was just a really good experience overall.
I hope they actually take our ideas into account and make them to law, so it's actually used and not forgotten.
Our assembly might be over, but really, this is just the beginning.
Next step is, I suppose, we're going to take what we learned and disperse it however we can, whether that's through the media or through school. Just spread our knowledge and educate more people about what we've learned and get more people on board.
The next step is getting listened to. So essentially what we need to do is make sure that we are heard and the young people of the assembly are actually taken into account, and our ideas are put through and embedded in a policy. So that is essentially the next step, yeah.
Well done, guys. And in many ways, what you're doing right now is another version of what we'll be doing. Hopefully in a couple of weeks, where representatives maybe from our assembly will go to the Oireachtas, and not just a minister will say that it will inform policy and biodiversity loss, but hopefully we'll have more of the government saying that for our own. So we've got a couple of questions to ask our members of the Children's and Young People's Assembly. The first thing that I want to ask was, what was the most enjoyable thing about the Assembly that you were working on? And I might give this to Maddie. What do you think about that?
Yeah, honestly, I would say the interaction I got with the people in my age and younger, and that was really enjoyable. Yep.
And almost intergenerational room, no more than our own.
Yeah.
We've got the steering group from our own assembly here are going to ask questions. If I can get a microphone to table 6 and another to table 5, if they're there. Sorry, guys. So table 6 and table, not 5, sorry, table 9.
May I start by congratulating you all on your amazing work, well done. Can you tell us something that you learned as a member of the Children and Young People's Assembly on Biodiversity? Thanks. Should we choose somebody, or would Sorry, now I have to go my eyesight. David, please, could you answer that? Something you learned. Thank you.
Well, we kind of learned that everyone is kind of, well, like, we learned that many people, like, kind of felt the same way, because, like, in my school, personally, like, some people don't really care, and, like, they're sure, oh, well, it's, like, it's not going to really affect me, I don't really care. So it was nice to know that other people felt like they wanted change, but overall, though, as well, it was nice to be there as well, because you got to meet new people, and, yeah.
Thanks, David. Louise?
Hi. Which call to action is most important to you and why? And can I direct that to Olwen?
I think the idea of planting more trees. So maybe every time a child is born, another tree is planted, and then you can have forest for like the different years. For example, like the forest of trees for the people born in 2009 or like 2011, you know, just because like they're the Earth's lungs. So yeah.
Thanks, Alwyn. And actually what I might do now is direct everybody to the calls to action, because you each have a scroll on your table. There's 58 of them, so I don't expect you to be reading them all right now, but as we're looking at them and reading them, maybe a few more, maybe each person on the panel here can tell us what their favourite call to action is, just to maybe direct us towards it. So if we go to the far end of the table, is that Laura? Ailey. Oh, who is it? Ailey, sorry. Will you tell us what your favourite call to action is, Ailey? And if you can talk into the microphone, thank you.
I think my favourite call to action would be probably, I think every single one is important, but maybe it would be like, I don't know, I like all of them.
It's okay, thank you. They are all important, Ailey. Okay, is it Laura beside you? Sorry, I can't see your names, I'm sorry.
Like Ailey said, I think they're all important, but one of the ones that I focus on that I think would be important to leading to a greener Ireland would be to use kinetic energy in the form of people walking or cars driving on roads to power nearby shops or businesses. And I think that would be just like a major step in using more green energy in Ireland.
Thanks, Laura. I always thought that disco floors should definitely be powered through kinetic energy. It is something to look at. Okay. Beside, we have, will you say your name? I'm so sorry that I can't see your names. Alwyn. Thank you, Alwyn. Will you tell us your favourite call to action?
Just again, planting more trees.
You already answered this. I'm really bad at this today. I'm so sorry. Beside Alwyn, Esther, what was your favourite call to action?
I really like the one about overexploitation, because it has happened to me before when I was walking home from Mass. We walked home and there was the tidy town spraying, so I'd like to see more tidy towns, not just keeping the town tidy, maybe like more instead of planting nice, pretty flowers, they could plant flowers that are more important to wildlife and biodiversity.
Excellent, thank you. That's a very specific call. Thank you, Esther, for that. David, how about you? We had a quick chat about this a few minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you the number so you can see it, because I kind of came up with this one myself. It's number 49, I believe, and it was kind of like a penalty point system, because like for different companies, like it would be different for like companies and for like individual people, because like it's not exactly fair, like if you're allowed to illegally dump. So it was kind of like going like maybe every penalty point a prison sentence, and they'd gradually get worse, and then maybe after 20 penalty points a company might have one of their like say if it had a branch in every county, maybe their Galway branch could be taken off them or something like that.
I like it.
Yeah. And eventually then, maybe a certain amount then, it's kind of just gradually worsened. So it's kind of like teaching you a lesson in terms of force to not like do this as well.
Excellent. We're missing on the enforcement, David, so you could get a new job very, very soon. Thank you. And just for our own members, we will have some people from the energy industry speaking to us this afternoon, but we'll have a specific section on that in the next Saturday morning in the next weekend. David, maybe we'll need you back for that. Maddie, what about you? What's the call to action that you'd like to direct our members' attention to?
I would go with like a proper education, because like if we compare a person who cares about the environment and who helps it, and a person who doesn't and even trying to destroy it, like they are not. We cannot. There is no like nature of people. I mean, you can't say this one is good, this one is bad. Like there are more ever and less ever, and it comes with like a proper education, not only systematic education. I mean, the whole definition of learning. I mean, it could be from your parents, from your school, from a simple line you read somewhere, or like from internet, even a meme you can see in internet. It could be anything. It could be anything that make you realize or understand something. And the whole topic should be actually completely normalized. And if we can make people realize that taking care of the earth and environment is for their own good, so I think we don't have any problem then.
Thank you, Maddie, and I think that that's something that's definitely coming through in all the presentations that we're seeing as well, that the formal as well as the informal education is going to be really important for everybody, not just people who are in school. Thank you sincerely for the time and the work that you're putting into all of this. We have the scrolls and we also have these beautiful murals that our members will have seen. If those of you are online, we'll find a way of getting you to have a look at them as well. It's beautiful kind of thought processes of coming up with your actions, and I think they're very moving, and they're definitely something for us to keep in mind as well. And I really like the analogies there, like the jigsaw, that, you know, biodiversity is one big jigsaw, and if we lose one piece of it, we can't actually facilitate anything else coming back to life. So it's been really lovely to look at this. It's so great to hear from you today. I think there's going to be a lot of crossovers, and now we're going to ask our members if you'd like to take one of the leaves that are on your table to maybe give back a message to the children and young people's... Oh yeah, we have one more question. Sorry, Rory has a question. Thank you. Sorry for... thanks for reminding me, Art. I obviously need to get more Sudafed. Rory.
Hi. Hello. Hey, fair play to you all, and your parents and everyone, your teachers must be so proud of you. That fair play, it's really inspiring for everyone. I was just going to ask, what do you want to happen next now, following the work you've achieved? Like, what are you hoping moving into the future, next generation, you know?
Thanks, Rory. Who'd like to take that question? Esther.
Most of us said that we kind of want to be heard, like we want our opinions to be listened to and not just forgotten straight after this is all over. And we just want to be, and we want all the points we made, not, it doesn't have to become a law, maybe just a thought that people can think, because people in history have, like, they haven't made a law, but they've got us to think and change our minds about stuff. So, yeah.
Thank you, Esther. And you know what? There's so much happening now around climate and the environment, and COP27 is on. There'll be another COP around biodiversity in a couple of weeks' time. There's a lot of different initiatives happening to direct all of our attention towards this, but I think it's hugely important that you guys are getting us to think about it as well. So thank you for that, and thanks for making the trip up to speak with us today, with your families, and with your parents that are here today, and for doing that over the last couple of weekends. All the members here understand that because they're doing the same thing, and I think there's definitely going to be crossover in what you're telling us, and what we'll hopefully be sending as recommendations to the Oireachtas as well. We're going to take a few minutes now. If you'd like to send a message back to the Children and Young People's Assembly, there should be a leaf on your table to write them a message, and the organisers of that assembly will collate these and send them back to the members of the Children's Assembly. And while our members are doing that, we'll just give you a very warm thank you, and we might have a chance to just have a chat with you over lunch and things like that. But thank you very much for coming with us today.